Merry Christmas, everyone! This is Dragon Veils, ready to present another top 10 list. What's it about? Well, it's Christmas time, folks, which means it's for holidays and movie specials. Let's see of what's in store in the top 10 Christmas movies and specials that I think are pretty exciting and interesting in many ways than one. Also, I'm having some guests coming over. That's them right now! Come on in! It's good to see you guys, too. Don't worry about the other guests. They'll be here soon. Oh! Here comes right now. Come on in. Bless my soul, Kermit the Frog. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming and joining with me. Hey, where's Miss Piggy? Wait a minute. Don't tell me. Well, after the fiasco at the Cave of Villains, I decided that I should probably get a bodyguard. Because the movie you are in always had Halloween elements as well as Christmas elements, so a lot of fans always found this debatable whether or not it should have been seen on Halloween or Christmas, but it's still a good movie to watch. It starts off with Jack Skellington being bored about the customs of Halloween and wants to do a different sort of change. One day, he comes across Christmas Town and begins to explore its world and its bright, colorful scenery. Because of that, he begins studying all the concepts of how Christmas should work, and as he got down to it and understands it, he tries to mimic them. Though his efforts, kind of fall apart on him. After his experimentation, he decided to do his own version of Christmas, which also included the residents of Halloween Town. Each of the characters had their own unique, quirky style. They really brought out a gentleness to them, even if they are physically creepy. Well, to the exclusion of Mr. Scary Man himself, Oogie Boogie, who had Santa Claus kidnapped and then tortured, physically, if not emotionally, considering how Sally had to rescue him at that point. God bless her. She's just this amazing girl who would probably even the Amazing Princess. And of course, Jack tried to do his Christmas stick, but it did not end well. With some catchy songs and great scenery and plot design, I would recommend this dual holiday film as a Christmas special to watch. Alright, I'm a dog lover, so sue me. Anyway, Santa Buddies is really an interesting story and probably one where ever involves puppies. I don't even recall very few Christmas movies that even involved puppies such as these. Of course, it's one of the buddies movies, and it focuses, of course, on the buddies trying to figure out the true meaning of Christmas and helping a young pup try to understand the meaning of Christmas before he resumes his duties as the next Santa Paws, though they still had never explained how the mother came to be. So Santa Paws and Santa have to be concerned about how Christmas spirit's going to be in, as well as that the buddies have to show the true meaning of Christmas with a crazy dog catcher who was basically a Grinch for the most part. However, it also includes a very special dog named Tiny who shows the meaning of Christmas, which is why I put it at number 9 because her song is so sweet. Christmas Miracles, I believe, is what the title is. That's alright, Miss Piggy. You've only missed 2 films. We're just about to go over the number 8 of films and specials for Christmas. That's right, folks. I put this cherished classic in number 8, mostly because I put the old Grinch version because not many people, I don't know how many people remember it personally, but also the 2018 The Grinch movie. I have to admit that Jim Carrey would have been on this list, but some portions of the story are kind of a bit dark, and moments with Jim Carrey as the Grinch kind of gives a little bleh sort of feel to it. Putting that aside, we all recall the story, so the Grinch comes up with the idea of dressing like Santa Claus and stealing presents from the Who's during Christmas time. He succeeds and was about to dump it all in Mount Crumpet, technically at the top of Mount Crumpet. And then, when he hears the songs of the Who's, he immediately has a change of heart and realizes that Christmas isn't always about getting gifts. And in turn, he returns back the gifts to the Who's and joins them in the holiday merriment. So I'm pretty sure some of you are asking of why I also included the 2018 Grinch on the list. Well, it explored more about the Grinch in terms of who he really is as a person based on what happened to him in the past. And it definitely gets rid of the cliche of, I'm grumpy because I can sort of deal. Even though it has mixed reviews, I felt like The Grinch tried its best to at least give this story a little bit of a different recognition. I felt, even though it's not as good as the Grinch classic, I believed that both of those come hand in hand and give more exploration. one was a lot of fun to watch as a kid. You see, A Year Without Santa Claus focuses on a story about Santa being sick after so many years of doing present delivery, and unfortunately, a jerk of a doctor said that no one believes in Christmas anymore. Despite Santa's doubts, Mrs. Claus wouldn't give up on him, so she asks Jingle Jangle, the two elves, riding up to Southdown to see if there's any Christmas spirit. And personally, for number 7, I picked the Miser Brothers for this. They just put a lot of fun into this special. Even though they argue and bicker a lot, especially when they come in the Miser Brother Christmas, these two opposites really give off an interesting dynamic, even as they learn to get along with each other and try to learn to cooperate with Mrs. Claus. They are just what make this unique Christmas special, and they also help Santa Claus come up with an idea about what it really means. I put this in number 7 because this focuses on the true kindness that comes with Christmas, putting others first. Because Santa was kind to the children decide to do the same. For him, normally Christmas and mysteries aren't that wrapped up together very often, as far as I know. But I do know that there's been 3 Scooby-Doo mysteries that involved Christmas. A Nutcracker Scoop is one that I remember the most as far as I can tell. It focuses on Scooby and the gang going to an orphanage to set up a Christmas play. Several of the orphans are going to be in there too, such as Tiny Tina. And she is such a delight to be around, that's for sure. However, the holiday plans are put on hold thanks to Nickleby, a miser who's basically a younger version of Scrooge with a cat, who wanted to tear down the orphanage for some unknown reason. Glad you asked, Rue. You see, it turns out there was an emerald stored by Nickleby's great-grandfather, thus resulting in a gem hunt. This didn't bother Scooby and the gang too much. It wasn't until the specter suddenly appeared right out of bloomin' nowhere and started terrorizing everyone in the orphanage. Scooby and, of course, Shaggy had to try to make a run for it every once in a while, especially when they had to be reduced to dress up as elves in order to get away from him. You never see those sorts of disguises anymore. And of course, Nickleby finally learned the true meaning of Christmas when his poor cat got stuck after a sheer fright, and Tiny Tina had to go and rescue the cat. In the end, it turns out there was a surprising twist to the culprit behind the ghost mystery, resulting in a happy ending for everyone. Well, and of course finding the emerald. The nanny who was the culprit behind this was put behind bars, and everyone was finally able to enjoy a nice Christmas, and Nickleby no longer wanted to ban the orphanage. So that's why I put it higher up on the list, because it's so enlightening and intriguing that you can't help but want to join in on the Scooby-Doo fun. Over the years, Santa has been considered the greatest icon representing Christmas. The Santa Claus is Coming to Town movie was basically a special in the 1970s that focused on the origins of how Santa Claus came to be. So it starts off with the young Claus being discovered by a group of toy makers led by a matriarch who tries to teach him right from wrong, and as he gets older, he decides to explore the world outside the toy maker village. Along the way, he encounters dangerous enemies, such as the Winter Warlock. When I was little, I found him a little bit creepy. By today's standards, I'd say 50-50. And with a touch of kindness from Santa Claus, his heart was melted, and winter became a little bit more harmless, but still had a few magic which helped later, especially against the infamous Burgermeister, who always had a hatred for toys, and practically banned them from his village. Yeah, you could sort of say he's like the man-child in the 1970s. Putting that aside, this is why I put Santa Claus is Coming to Town on the list. It's joyful, it's simple, the story's easy to follow, and you have a villain you can hate easily, but it still reminds us about how kindness pays off in the end. All aboard! That's right, number 5 on this list is the famous Polar Express, the first ever film that focused on 3D animation based on movement. You see, this book was actually what inspired the film. It talks about a young boy who questions everything and goes on a wild, life-changing journey to learn what it means to believe in something, even if it doesn't exist. Now, along the way, his train travels resulted in going through perilous trials, such as the train going over a lake of ice. And also, the characters he meets are pretty interesting, including a hobo that helps him try to understand if seeing is believing, or something more complicated than that. Now, one of the things that I liked about this film was this nice build-up about meeting the famous Santa Claus, and also of how the young boys start to believe once more. Which is why I put this in number 5, because who doesn't want to be in this interior of a train and go to the famous North Pole to meet Santa Claus? But through it all, this movie really is number 5 because it gives off the inspirational message about believing in things that doesn't appear, which is what Christmas means, believing in the hope that will one day come to our world. Isn't this nice? We're going through number 4 and there hasn't been any Oh, criminy, why him? That's Krampus, one of the darkest figures in Christmas stories. Think of him as the anti-Santa. Let's just say if you were a naughty kid, he would torture you to no end and then drag you to the underworld. Okay then, Jack, Miss Piggy, stall him for time. Whatever you do, don't let him into the house. I'm gonna find a spell that'll get him out of here. Better yet, a guardian of some sort. I'm pretty sure number 4 of this Christmas list is part of the reason why Krampus is here. This film is called The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus. It's an origin story like the Santa Claus is Coming to Town, but it focuses on the Council of Immortals deciding his fate, as well as retelling the story about young Claus being discovered by the fairies and the other residents in the forests, and then along the way begins to explore the world with the leader of the Immortals, learning about how humans lived while he was in comfort. Along the way, he meets various friends, such as the lion and a lucky cat, a black cat if you will. It inspires him to do toys and to do goodwill. Unfortunately, many monsters of the enemy were not very agreeable with his tactic and waged war against the Immortals. The Immortals managed to win in the end, but it was a little bit bittersweet as Santa's time was beginning to run out. Over time, the Immortals were inspired by this story and decided to help him. I put this in number 4 because this is underrated, but I feel like it is a good movie to discuss and brings off the sense of fantasy that we just don't see often compared to today. And good news, folks! I managed to find a summoning of Cerberus. Sick 'em, boy! Christmas was always considered the wonderful time of year to spend with friends and family, and of course, decorating the trees, setting Santa's cookies. Anyway, A Muppet Family Christmas lands number 3 on the list. It's a very cheery special that is really creative and shows off Jim Henson's works. Of course, one of my favorite scenes was Fozzie making his friend the snowman and trying to make corny jokes. And of course, you get to see Fraggle Rock, Sesame Street, and of course the original Muppet Gang have a wonderful time celebrating the holiday seasons and of course bringing up very friendly and cheerful songs that talk about the enormous times of the holiday. And of course, what I loved about this was when Miss Piggy tries to find her way back home during a really bad snowstorm. With her, there's always a hilarious moment. Tell me if you heard this one. You know Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? That's right! Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer lands at number 2 in the top 10 Christmas movies and specials. Rudolph was always an engaging character. Even this misfit Rudolph was never afraid to be friends with anyone, though it was kind of hard because of his red nose. But Clarice really showed a lot of kindness to him, which gave him some hope that there will be other people like him. Soon he joins an elf dentist named Hermie, well, a soon-to-be elf dentist, and then meets other misfits such as Cornelius, a miner who has issues finding silver and gold. And while being chased by the abominable snowman, Rudolph soon begins to learn how to love himself and accepts his gifts. In the end, Santa proposes that Rudolph helps him in the worst snowstorm ever to deliver Christmas gifts to everyone. Thus, it resulted in the great, memorable moment in history. Oh wait, before I get to number 1, I would like to go over some honorary mentions. be corny, but you gotta admit, the songs are very addicting, and you gotta admit what they're trying to do with this story. Nutcracker, I'd say I like the graphics of it and what lesson is trying to be conveyed in this story. Cranberry Christmas is very cute, and I really appreciate some of the artwork. Okay, how many of you are familiar with Charles Dickens? He is the author of stories such as Oliver Twist, A Tale of Two Cities, and a very special Christmas story which lands in the #1 spot. Originally, he created this story to inspire kindness. The #1 movie is Christmas Carols, and there are multiple versions that still exist to this day. Disney has been a very favorite multiple versions of them. I liked the old one because it was so cheery and used a lot of Disney characters. The Jim Carrey version was pretty interesting, and it followed the whole story to the letter. And I did appreciate the Muppet version of The Christmas Carol because not only did it follow to a T, but it had a new creative way of having the whole story engage and still give that sense of heartwarming. A Christmas Carol, in my personal opinion, focuses on how people can change by the magic of Christmas, even though today's standards is easier said than done. But it doesn't change the fact of what Christmas means to be generous to others. Isn't that right, Miss Piggy? Miss Piggy! Okay, Kermit, I'll let you and Miss Piggy go. After all, you've got your own Christmas festivities to get back to. I hope to see you again sometime. Have fun heading back home. Merry Christmas, everybody!